bringing it to them all day. You know what's up? Welcome to Birdland. Win or lose, we bringing it to you always. You know what's up? Welcome to Birdland. Orange or black, we rebuild the pack. No matter where we at, you know we coming back. Section 336, we on this, so tune in. You know what's up? Welcome to Birdland. Yeah, welcome to Birdland. You know what's up? Welcome to Birdland. Now, here come the boys from Section 336.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, Baltimore sports fans of all ages, welcome to Section 336, next generation of Baltimore sports talk. I am your endearingly stuttering host, Matt Soroka. As always, I'm joined by the button lover, Josh Soroka.
Hey, Matt, how are you doing today? Welcome to spring training.
Yeah, it's good to be here. Thank you.
I mean, it's kind of weird. Spring training is weird this year because of the limited coverage.
Yeah, everything is. The Orioles are coming out with some stuff, but and all the
reporters,
all the Zoom meetings
get Zoom. Yeah.
Yeah, all the Zoom meetings. So we get like screenshots of players.
Right. And I don't want screenshots of players. I want 7 shots of the fat pitcher wandering to the outfield.
Yeah. And I wonder how different the interviews are in Zoom too, because I just think people are more comfortable talking in person. And Zoom, especially if you're not used to doing it all the time.
It's a business setting.
Awkward and weird. And it's less, it's more formal. It's just weird.
Yeah. Yep.
So I also wonder about the quality of the interviews.
Yeah, and you're right. And it's like that way on both sides. For the guy being interviewed, there's no relationship, so it's very stiff. And let me just answer your question and move on. It's more like an actual press conference.
Yeah.
And then for the people doing the question, it's awkward because it's just awkward. They're in their home trying to answer through a crappy microphone.
Yeah, but at least, I watched right before the show, I was watching a video of Trey Mancini field ground balls, and I really enjoyed watching it. Swinging the bat looks good. Looks good swinging the bat.
Did you see?
A lot of good quotes out there.
I think it was yesterday that the Orioles put out a video of just like sounds from spring training. And it's
I see that one.
The crack of the bat, the ball hitting the glove.
Nice.
Like it was all these just like basically like sound effects.
Oh, that's cool.
And I was like, that's a really cool video.
Yeah.
So, and MLB Network is like back in full strength now, where it's not like you turn it on and it's Bad News Bears again.
Right.
So,
there's baseball to talk about.
Right. There's baseball. And the Orioles aren't really getting coverage on MLB Network, but it's baseball.
Yeah, and I'm sure any coverage they do get is negative. Though, I was watching, there was that big signing by Fernando Tatis. $300 million for 50 years or whatever.
Yeah. And his kid. Guarantees his kid a contract with the Padres, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
For that money.
His kid's kid. Yeah. Well, but of course, my first thought went to that was the contract that Manny Machado should have gotten. Like that's the deal. That's the contract.
Yeah.
Manny Machado should have been given that he was never given. And so the Padres give Manny Machado that contract. Oh, and Fernando Tatis that contract. So good for a small mid-market team, depending on who you ask.
Right. It's not like they've got any competition for
San Diego.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, there's lots of teams out there.
No, but I'm saying San Diego. There's no one. They're the only San Diego team. Sports team anymore.
True. But I mean, there's lots of baseball teams. You could easily switch to be a Dodger fan or an Angels fan.
Yeah, but that's turning into like I'm already getting pumped just for the baseball season. That's the rivalry between the Dodgers and Padres. I'm gonna be staying up till 10 o'clock, till midnight some nights watching this rivalry between those two teams. That's gonna be really fun to watch. I'm excited. I'm excited about. There's just so many good storylines this year. And I'm curious to see how, of course, there's so many storylines within the Orioles, but just in baseball this year, I think baseball is in a really good place. And I think despite all like the labor fighting, and there's still a ton of free agents out there, which is concerning. And despite that Mariners GM having to resign for saying crazy stuff.
Yeah.
Despite all that, I still think like the players in baseball is just in a good spot. It's going to be really a fun year. I'm excited about it.
Yeah. Did I tell you last week on the podcast that I bought spring training tickets, or did I do that after the podcast?
No, I don't know. I think you said that on the podcast.
All right. I don't know. We've had a few conversations over Zoom. We don't use Zoom, but this whole type of virtual thing, it's our relationship. So I forget when I told you, but I'm excited because that first opening day spring training game is Sunday. So I'm excited to get over to Sarasota and see some baseball in less than a week.
Next week we can have some. You can get us the inside scoop.
Yeah. Next week I will remind you what it is like to experience baseball.
I read somewhere that every game but 2 of them, and this was as of I think yesterday, every game except for 2 has been sold out.
Yeah.
For spring training.
Well, remember
That's pretty cool.
It's 25%, so it's 1,800 people.
Does it count as a sellout still?
Yes, I believe so.
Remember, Camden Yards, when it opened, had a long streak of sellouts.
Right.
Are they going to start bragging that they're selling out games when they have 10,000 people in the stands?
I don't know how they'll handle that. I don't know if the Orioles will have 10,000 fans in the stands. But I'm curious to see how it goes because I got a ticket all by myself, so that means I should have a pod all to myself. So,
do you know how many pods there are?
Well, I don't think there's any. I don't think it's a physical pod. I think it's just like a pod means like no one will be within 6 feet of you.
Right. So, but do you think they pre-designated seats?
I don't know.
Or they just make it up as they go along?
I don't know. I asked the guy that on the phone, and he didn't know.
Okay.
I would think they got to somehow pre-designate, but also make it up on their own because, like, they didn't know if I was going to buy 1 ticket or 2, and it's not like they're saying, "Oh, we have enough tickets open in parties of 2, but not parties of 4." You know?
Yeah, the ticket sales must be complicated.
So it's got to be complicated, the whole thing on how you do it.
What do you think the percentage chance that there are people butts in the seat for our opening day
in Baltimore?
In Baltimore, percentage
chance.
What's the schedule? Do we start home or away?
You start away.
Okay.
I believe.
That's good.
Here's the problem. I don't know. I'm in Florida, so I don't know Maryland politics, and that's really a political question.
Oh, is it a political question, Josh?
Well, because it's the city. It's not based on the Orioles. It's the city.
I see what you're saying, and you don't like me bringing up politics, so you don't want to answer. I got you. That's cool.
I just don't know.
I didn't ask you to make a definitive claim. We're not holding you to that. I just asked for a stupid percentage, Josh.
Well, I don't know. Like, I know Atlanta.
You won't give me a number.
The Braves have already announced they're selling tickets.
Okay.
The Orioles.
That makes it more likely that the Orioles will too, I think, right?
The Orioles start their season on the road, yeah.
Right.
So the first home game is April 10th?
April 8th. The 8th.
The 8th, you were correct.
Yeah.
All right, April 8th. I'm going to go with 70% chance there is fans.
Okay. Percentage chance that I am one of those fans.
If you're one of those fans, I am too.
Okay.
So
are we sharing a pod?
Yeah, we will share a pod.
I don't know if I feel comfortable sharing a pod from Florida Man with Florida Man. I don't know about that.
Yeah, we will share a pod. And I'll lick the chairs on the way out.
Yeah.
Like a normal ball game.
Yeah, that's how you
I mean, that's pre-COVID.
Yeah, well, you'll be doing that while the zany Burt Rohde will be stroking the guy's beard sitting next to him.
right.
In another pod.
I hope there's fans.
Yeah, it adds to a lot, especially opening day. It adds a lot to have fans. Even if you just had 10,000 people in there, it would add a lot to that stadium.
Right. And I think we saw that with the NFL, that even as a small percentage, that crowd can get loud and impact the game.
Yeah, and it's completely different from pumping in noise. The no crowd is kind of cool every now and then, but not opening day. Give me the fans.
No.
Give me the fans.
The no crowd, the only time the no crowd was cool was playing after the riots because it was a one-time thing.
Yeah.
A whole season.
I don't know. I like
crowds.
The NBA bubble, computer people.
Do they still do that this year?
No, they don't do that anymore.
Because they're not doing a bubble, so they're...
Yeah, that was just for the bubble. Right. I don't think they can hook up all the stadiums like that, but...
That was a Disney special?
Yeah, Disney special right there.
So, yeah, I think there's a good chance of fans. I don't. Right. Because, I mean, you're going to be more whatever. Maybe they'll make you show your vaccine to go to the stadium. Who knows? Yeah.
How do you think... Here's what I've been thinking about, too. Is, we're turning the corner, Josh. The Orioles are turning the corner. It's happening.
Oh,
and
yeah.
You might not be paying attention, but it's happening. you think our fans, where are fans with this? We are of the fans, by the fans, for the fans. Are fans, are they into this team? Are they with the corner turn, or are they still griping? Where are the Oriole fans on this?
The baseball nerds are into this, like us.
Yeah.
The general fan, who are like part of like the Baltimore Orioles Facebook group that call into 105.7 The Fan, those type of general fans are still on the train of this team will not win until we get a new owner.
Yeah.
And this is crap. And we're only spending $50 million or whatever it is this year because of the owner, not because we're rebuilding.
Yeah. So they're not on board yet.
No.
But you know what, Josh? I think by the end of the season, I think they're going to be on board.
I hope so. I want to do this next week because today we've got a lot to talk of just general spring training. I got
some Matt Harvey quotes, and I want to talk. King Felix and
Chris Davis
Matt
is
Harvey.
back in camp.
Yeah, Chris Davis. Everyone was there. Chris Davis, of course, had issues getting there. That's classic Chris Davis.
Right. Yeah, he's only from Texas, who hasn't had power in like a week and a half.
Yeah, and Trey Mancini was at spring training a month ago. What was Chris Davis doing? Eating bonbons by his whatever.
But what I want to do next week is I want to take the show and divide it into two halves. And I want to do best case scenario, worst case scenario that we envision with the team for this coming season.
Yeah.
So, best case, show me how this team can make it to the playoffs. Worst case, let's talk about how bad this team is.
Right.
Because we got plenty to talk about the fact that the team's really somewhere in the middle. So I'm thinking, let's go to the extremes next week.
Yeah, I mean, they're closer certainly to the bad case than they are to the good case.
Yes.
Right? Like, it's easier to imagine them having the worst record in baseball than it is for them to have the best record in baseball. Like, it's just,
totally.
one's easier.
Totally.
But the good news is, even if you have the worst record in baseball, you get the number one pick. So there is a silver lining with that.
Well, that's the whole, is that what Mike Elias is trying to do this year? And does Brandon Hyde get in trouble if they win more games? Is it like Major League and the lady's saying, I don't want to lose, I want to be the worst team in baseball?
Yeah, and my argument back to that would be the more success we have, the better it is for us in the long run, too. Because it means, young players are playing really well, so you're winning games, which is good for the future. Or B, veterans played really well, and they're now on the Red Sox and Yankees. So either way, it's a winning scenario.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Are you, though? Are you with me, Josh? Because I just froze on my screen for about 10 seconds. So are you with me?
Oh, did you see? You froze here, and I assumed you kept on talking.
No, I didn't. I just waited until I stopped froze, and then I pretended like I just ended my sentence there.
Oh, crap. That means I'm going to have to do some awkward editing there. Let me write down this time.
You don't have to write it down. The listeners can stay with us. I just explained what happened. Guys, I froze for a second, 5 seconds tops. I waited, and then I finished my sentence. Thank you for sticking with us.
I think my internet's all screwy today or something.
Yeah, I don't think it's me. And then if you play this at 1.5 speed, like I do on my podcast, it's just like a 3-second pause.
Right, you won't even notice.
Yeah, but my point was, if the young players play well, it's good for the future. If the veterans play well, you can trade them and get prospects, and so it's good for the future. And so I think Mike Elias' job is in the off season, let me make this team as bad as possible. And then when the season starts, he roots for them to play well, so he can then trade Jose Iglesias, and he can then go trade,
King Felix,
Andrew Cashner, whoever else he wants. Yeah. To then get prospects. He's definitely rooting for players to play well. At this point, I
like that projection. Matt Elias' offseason goal is to destroy the team. Brandon Hyde has to fight him in the regular season to win games, and it's a back and forth.
Yeah.
Yeah,
but I think, again, we're ending that time because, Josh, whoever we draft in this year's draft, whatever, like this year we're drafting number 5, it's done. Next year's draft, right? This year's record is going to control next year's draft. That's 2022. At that point,
we're already in.
They're not going to help us win the World Series in 2023, whoever that pick is.
Right, that
so
pick is to help us extend. Right.
Yeah, that pick is for our 2025 championship when we become a dynasty. It's not going to help us win the World Series.
Exactly. It's for the dynasty.
So there's no reason.
Right.
I mean, I guess if Elias wants to get the dynasty, he can go for the number 1 pick this year. But outside of that, there's no real incentive because I think the players are already on the squad.
Yeah, I hear you. How about you want to start with Buster Olney?
I don't really want to talk about Buster Olney. Okay, fine. I should have pulled up the clip where he said it.
I mean, that would have been some good production. I mean, I feel like you're the one who woke Orioles Twitter up to this quote from Buster.
Yes.
Because I wasn't seeing it going around, and suddenly you tweeted it, and it blew up.
And this is a week after the podcast, so everyone had a chance to listen to it if you're listening to the podcast.
That is why I'm crediting you, because it's not like you posted it the day he said it. It was a week later, and then all of a sudden everyone's talking about it. And it happened to also be right after you told me about it.
I have the sound. Do you want me to play it on the?
Sure.
Will it work if I do it on the phone to the microphone?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
You lose that home field advantage, but you pick it up on the
Hold up, here it is.
in Coors Field, and you have the thin air, and you get the ball in the air. Then you really.
That's not the red spot.
No, but in Coors Field with that thin air, I think the Orioles would do better in Coors Field. You're right. So the controversy thing that I was going to say Bud Selig, that Buster Olney was pushing was for the Orioles to move to Denver. Lots of you think Nashville. He was pushing for Denver.
Let me try one more random spot and see if it works. And if not,
you're not going to.
I will look one. The Baltimore Orioles.
Yeah. Well,
it's like, let's go.
Yeah.
I mean,
how many years into this rebuild?
It's kind of crazy. And, we're going to be doing over and unders here. I'm going to be guessing I'm going to be taking the under on the Orioles without really having taken a serious look at the number because they just – and I understand that they're building talent in the minor leagues, but I don't know where we got to a point in this sport where you could basically check out for 5, 6, 7 years and not be relevant and have it be okay.
Yeah, it's sad. And I'll mention the Angel.
All right. Great job.
That's the quote.
Did you randomly just pick a spot on the player time code?
No, I knew it was around there, and I just got really lucky.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. So Buster Olney's not wrong. It does suck when teams take 5, 7 years of we're going to be the worst team in order to do this rebuild thing.
But he's wrong with the checkout. Did we check out?
To check it.
Did the organization check out?
No.
At what point did we check out?
No. But
when we were Dan Kelly, we were trying to win every single season.
Hold on.
And since Mike Elias got here, he was trying to build a squad every single season.
Hold on.
There's not a single season where we checked out.
Not in reference to the Orioles. Hold on. He's correct about when a team checks out and decides they're going to just be irrelevant for 5 to 7 years. That's bad for baseball.
And by the way, we've been rebuilding for 3 years.
I'm getting there. Not about the Orioles. He is correct. But
not about the
logic but taking that logic and putting it on the Orioles is wrong. Because when did the Orioles rebuild start?
When they traded Manny Machado away mid-season and started, that's when I would argue it stopped.
Wasn't it the next? But didn't they still come back next year without Manny Machado, and they tried one more time without him? And then wasn't that?
I think, and we got to look at the record. I want to say,
did he trade Manny on the way out, or I feel like he traded him the year before his last year?
No, he traded him with just a half season left.
All right. So he traded him in July 2019. All right. So
all
right. So that means we are 2.5 years into the rebuild. And there's also a COVID year into there. So a 2.5 years, including the weird COVID year, the Orioles didn't check out. You're correct. You're right. For him to say 5, 6, 7 years is completely wrong compared to the Orioles.
I mean, in 2016, just go back to 2016, we were a playoff team.
So that's 5 years.
And then in 2017, we certainly tried to win again, and that when we had the bad second half. And then 2018 was that year we lost, 115 games.
Right, exactly. But that's what I'm saying. This team has been irrelevant. It's not even been that it's been irrelevant. This rebuild that he says 5, 6, 7 years is 2.5 years old.
Right. And if you want to argue, because the 2018 was the last year of Dan Duquette, and so
2019.
you could also argue with the hiring of Mike Elias, right? That's when the true rebuild began, when we started investing in young players. So, yeah.
So you're talking 2 years.
Yeah, 2 years. You're right. I was thinking 3 years, but it's not even.
No.
It's 2 years.
It's 2 years. And last year no development happened. So it's just like when we were talking about Fangraphs last week, when we were talking about Keith Law last week. People outside of Baltimore just in their minds say the Orioles are irrelevant. The Orioles are always losers, forever losers. And so much so that they forget about the years pretty recently that the Orioles were successful. And you asked earlier about the state of the fan. The fans forget that too. The fans have forgotten that the Orioles, all of these people who are irritated as Oriole fans right now, became Oriole fans during those great years of 2012 to 2017.
Yeah. Yeah, and started 2012. We were relevant.
Right. Oriole fans
all the way through 2017, we were a relevant franchise.
Right. If you want to say that we're irrelevant now, you did not live through those 14 years. There's 14 years of losing without a plan in sight, with the plan being to try to buy bats every year and wait on the cavalry. It didn't work.
Yeah. If you want to, if Buster Olney said that quote in like 2010 or something,
right.
Like you're good, Buster. I'm on board. I agree.
Right.
But to say that now is just to ignore
facts.
What's been happening with the Orioles.
Right. Exactly. And there's a plan now. So the Oriole fans, now is the time to get on board because there's a plan. It's not let's come up with a new plan every offseason. We have a plan. We're 2 years into that plan.
Yeah. And last year we saw the fruit of some of that plans with some young players coming up and being contributors. We're going to see that more this year. And, come next year, forget about it.
Yep. Yeah.
But and there's also a lot of other teams, Josh, that have been bad and continue to whatever, tank or whatever, not be competitive. There's a bunch of those teams in baseball. So it's weird to me that the team that Buster Olney would choose out of all the teams in baseball, he would choose the Orioles. And that seems, and we talked about that last week where you asked me, Josh, is the media really biased or just Oriole fans are sensitive? Well, no, I think the media, for whatever reason, likes to pick on the Orioles. And maybe it's this thing where it's like one person picks on it and then becomes popular to pick on it and then they become a competent franchise.
It's a lot of big-name baseball writers came through the Sun. And I think because they came through the Sun, they dealt with the Orioles and Peter Angelos during a tough time, during that 14-year stretch. And I think that has made their orange glasses a little different than yours and mine.
Right. It's possible that that's tainted their glasses. I also think that there's people in baseball who don't like Mike Elias.
Sure.
I was listening to Ryan, friend of the show, interview Keith Law on his Give That Fan a Podcast.
Oh, that's a pretty good get for Ryan, especially for a guy who does a podcast once a month.
Yeah, it was a good get. Anyway, he was interviewing Keith Law, and Keith Law said he didn't like how the Orioles got rid of a bunch of scouts, and I'm sure that rubs a lot of baseball guys the wrong way that they got rid of a lot of scouts. And Keith Law thought they replaced them with their own guys, but they just never replaced the scouts that they got rid of.
I mean, that's true.
And also, this idea of the old Orioles, right, in those losing years, would still spend money to hire pointless free agents just to help us win 70 games. Mike Elias is not paying anybody. So in that way, you could argue this isn't good for baseball because there's 40 free agents still sitting out there. And Mike Elias, if you want to do $1 million, Mike Elias might talk to you, but Mike Elias isn't spending money to be competitive. So I think also the way Mike Elias goes about it, I think bothers some people.
And you also, out of all the different sports reporters, baseball reporters are the worst. They're the most set in their ways
best too, but
Yeah, but
for
they're
the
the
same
most
reason they're the worst.
set in your
They're
ways.
also the best.
The Hall of Fame voting sucks. It's stupid, and the whole reason it is the way it is because of stuck-up reporters who think they're better than the average person and better than the game.
I don't think any of that's true, but I do like how.
You don't think baseball reporters are stuck up? You don't think any of that's true about baseball reporters? That they have this holier-than-thou attitude about the Hall and about their votes and making sure no one goes in on the first ballot. And I get the steroids thing, but even the steroids thing at this point, you need to just accept it and vote them in. These guys need to be
I think you're throwing a few knuckleheads into the bunch of good reporters.
If it was a bunch of good reporters and just a few knuckleheads, then the bunch of good reporters' votes would outnumber the knuckleheads. Now, yes, there's knuckleheads that'll do the one vote, so Ken Griffey's not.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, but then they're all kind of higher, whatever, on steroids.
Steroids? I think that's still, I think steroids is still, I know for a lot of fans, it's done. The debate's over. Let them in. I think there's still a strong case to be made that
they're still using steroids in baseball. I agree.
It's still. I wish someone sneak Chris Davis some steroids. But the reason I like baseball reporters is they do, like football reporters don't seem as big as the game. But like I feel like Tim Kurchin to me, I look at him like I look at, I don't know, a veteran player. Like I look at him, like I look at Paul O'Neill. That's a dated reference, but no, I look at him as a like important part of the game. Same with Buster Olney. Like
they all have.
I think these reporters are bigger than reporters in other sports.
Right. But you get the same thing in football, where you get the Peter King, the Jay Glazer.
Yeah, I guess. Maybe I'm just not as into football, that side of it, that it doesn't.
In the NBA, you get the Stephen A. Smith.
Yeah.
In the hockey, some Canadian guy. I don't know.
He's not. They're not Tim Kurchins.
No, they're not. I don't know. Who's your favorite baseball reporter?
Tim Kurchin.
Yeah, I like
it's Kurchin. Not even close.
Yeah, you're right.
I think Tim Kurchin is. I just love his stories. I love his laugh. I love how Scott Van Pelt makes him giggle at the Baltimore accent. I think Tim Kurchin is amazing.
Yeah, I'll give you that one. On MLB Network, I really like Billy Ripken.
Yeah, I think Billy Ripken's good.
I think when he's on baseball, he'll break things down like he's teaching like a clinic for kids, and I think it's cool.
Yeah, I think Billy Ripken's good too. I agree with that. But yeah, so that was the quote by Buster Olney. But I was more surprised when I tweeted that out. I just tweeted the quote because I thought it was kind of funny and interesting.
Yeah.
But the reaction I got was like no reaction from any tweet I've ever sent out before, and it shows. Well, I'm not sure what it shows, but I was more surprised by the reaction than it was by the quote by Buster Olney. What was the reaction?
Were people angry? Were people angry at the Orioles? Angry at Buster?
Angry at Buster. I would say 90% was angry at Buster.
Okay, so everyone
and then Orioles Uncensored was like, well, maybe Buster has a point. But everybody else was like Buster's an idiot. And Buster hates the Orioles. And it goes into that thing we talked about last week where Oriole fans feel like the media hates them. And it goes in line with what Keith Law, with the bad ranking, like everybody hates them. Though I was thinking about this because, I thought Keith Law's ranking was fair. But you can make the argument that the Orioles are getting too much love from everybody else, right? Not that Keith Law is negative, but that everyone else is way too positive and giving the Orioles too much love with our prospects.
Maybe.
But by the way, totally. in that interview with Ryan with Keith Law, he said, and this is what I said last week, that one of the reasons the Orioles weren't ranked higher is that it's just nearly impossible to be a top half farm system when you have no international prospects.
Sure.
The Orioles have one, Yusniel Diaz, who they traded for Manny Machado, with Manny Machado and the Dodgers.
Yeah.
But outside of that, they have no one. So every other team in baseball, or almost every other team in baseball, has a bunch of international prospects, and your team has zero. Then it's hard to be a top 10 farm system with that. Now that's changing right now as we speak, but that was the case this year.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I agree. And again, it doesn't matter what these reporters say. The Orioles we pointed out last week, the Orioles will be the laughingstock. And it's the chance for the Orioles to prove them wrong. The Orioles, I saw some of the players even mention in their interviews the 0.0 Fangraphs comment.
Yeah.
So
if you look at, I was looking at this before the show. This makes me laugh so much. just go to MadisonSports.com and Steve Molesky, who I really like Steve Molesky. I don't want to talk bad about him. But here are his headlines for his past, when you go to the homepage, it lists his most recent 1, 2, 3, 4 articles. Here are the headlines. How Dean Kramer used quarantine time to improve a difference-making pitch.
Yeah.
The next one.
Yeah, I'm excited about that. That's my pitch.
The next one. Paul Fry on improved strikeout and a look at camp so far.
All right.
An improved strikeout rate.
All right.
The next one. Scott, this is speaking of Tanner Scott up for added innings and Harvey's path to Baltimore. And the most recent one, Rio Ruiz, quote, this is the headline, Rio Ruiz quoting, this organization is in a great spot.
How thick do you think that orange Zoom filter is on his computer?
If you would just read, and it's not that much better with Rakubako, and I think this is a lot too because they're quoting Orioles players, right? Like Rakubako's most recent article is Mancini, quote, I really do feel just like I did before. And then his next one is, can the bullpen do as well or better than 2021? And so it just keeps on going on. And this is mostly because everyone is so optimistic that
about young guys. But
and even veteran players aren't going to say like, "Oh man, this team."
Right, exactly. Rio Ruiz's quote isn't going to be this organization's is a laughingstock. He's not going to give that quote.
And Matt Harvey talked about how all the arms looked great. I mean, his arms thrown to a catcher, what does that even mean, right? Like,
but hey,
how can you look great in a bullpen session?
The best part about Dean Kramer is the whole use quarantine time to improve a difference-making pitch. Is that was something that he knew that the Orioles talked with him about, that this offseason work on another pitch.
Yeah,
and he got a cutter down. And if that's what he needs is a different pitch selection to mix things up a little better, that's the one I take away out of all of that as the most positive, because it's not a general looked good, hit more strikes. It's he worked on a new pitch. So it actually gives me true facts. And the Mancini, I feel like I did before, that's positive because we know he didn't feel good a few months ago. Or a year ago.
Yes.
So those two things.
I mean, it's all good.
I'm just saying those two things are real things. Positive, negative, whatever, they're real facts. Versus saying this organization's in a great spot. That's junk that you would say to an Orioles reporter. Harvey saying, like you said, saying the arms look good. That's just whatever junk. You're not going to say, man, these pitchers really suck when you have to go up there and sit in the bullpen with them.
Yeah.
No one ever went to Steve Molesky and said, this Jake Arrieta kid's a real head case. They never did that.
Right.
You speak positive of your teammates.
Right. But speaking of Jake Arrieta, and speaking of important storylines of spring training, I think this is one of the bigger storylines, and that's Matt Harvey. And that's not that Matt Harvey came to Baltimore, but why Matt Harvey came, I think, is a big story.
Okay.
Why he chose Baltimore over any other team.
All right. Because he has the best opportunity in Baltimore.
No, that's not why he chose Baltimore.
Because it's only 4 hours from New York.
No, that's not why he chose Baltimore.
Because he is the only guy with a cool nickname so he can get a jersey night.
King Felix would take offense at that.
Oh, crap.
No.
Right. All right. Why did Matt Harvey come to Baltimore?
Because he was struggling as a pitcher the past few seasons. And he wanted to turn his career around. And he thought the place that he could get the best coaching to improve his pitching was Baltimore. So over the offseason, he worked with some, what they call it, TrackMan and some analytics stuff. He did whatever, they have these.
Yeah, I know the Orioles invested a lot in that. But here's
and in the offseason, Matt Harvey was looking at, okay, what team values this stuff and what team can really help me to become a better pitcher. And Matt Harvey chose the Orioles because he thought the Orioles would do the best job improving his stuff and getting him back on track.
Well, I hope
compare that to your Jake Arrieta comment?
I hope that's true, but isn't his agent Scott Boras?
I don't know, is it?
I believe it is. I'll have to fact check that one, but I believe Matt Harvey is a Scott Boras thing, which would tell me the Orioles gave the most money.
Oh, I don't think it has anything to do with that. I think whatever, I don't know what they gave him, like $1 million. I think anyone would have given that money. And he didn't even get a major league spot. He got a minor league spot.
Right.
So it's not like he did it for the position on the 40-man roster, and it's not like he did it for the money. So I actually 100% believe Matt Harvey when he says he did it because, I mean, here's the tweet by Rakubako. It says, on his Zoom, Matt Harvey said the Orioles' extensive use of pitching data technology and having Chris Holt as pitching coach made him want to come here. Said it should get him back to where he wants to be in his career.
Okay.
That's pretty impressive to me.
Yeah.
And here's another quote. And I call this quote, this is a Matt Harvey quote. I call it the anti-Chris Davis quote. This is a Matt Harvey quote, also known as the anti-Chris Davis quote. Harvey said, I've told everybody whatever they need, whatever they want to ask. I'm all theirs and up for whatever. Like I said, I'm extremely happy to be here.
All right.
So I'm excited about Matt Harvey. I'm excited about Matt Harvey's attitude. And interestingly, like Matt Harvey, I 100% believe he came here for the analytics and because he wants to get better as a pitcher and he feels like he can rebound. And if this is true, Josh, like just hold up. Let's just go to next week and play out your best case scenario. And somewhere in that best case scenario, I think Matt Harvey pitches pretty well.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, a team that was known as like the death, like teams would trade for Orioles pitchers knowing that they could fix the pitchers. Like, let's just trade for an Orioles pitcher and he'll get better just leaving Baltimore.
Yeah, Gaussman, Bundy.
We go to a team where, I mean, you see a ton of pitchers sign 1-year contracts as like a prove-it year. And what if we can be that destination where players want to come to have a good year, to know that they're going to get the best coaching? I think you can attract different free agents where in the past we weren't attracting, good free agents.
Well, and that's really interesting. Scott Boras is his agent, so Scott Boras knows the Orioles well. It's interesting though because that sounds great about the Orioles and analytics and the Orioles working with all this new data stuff and all. But as a pitcher, he's still coming to the AL East to pitch. And he's coming to a hitter-friendly ballpark to pitch.
Against one of the toughest divisions in baseball, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I said, the AL East. So that stuff you would think would be against the Orioles as far as where a pitcher wants to go to rebuild his career.
Yeah. Yeah, but also, I think we could argue that a lot of teams, when giving out contracts, are past looking at ERA, right? Like they care about spin rate.
Yes.
They care about velocity. They care about whiff rate and all these other. And if you can improve all those stats, you can get a contract next year, even if you give up, an ERA of 5 or whatever.
Right. Yeah, I think people are okay with ERAs of 4 and 5 right now.
Especially Camden Yards.
Yeah, and that's the other thing is you're right. You know what? You got a good point because if you have an ERA of 4.5 in Camden Yards, then someone's going to look at that and say, oh, well, if he's not pitching in Camden, that's a 3. And you kind of get a little forgiveness there.
Right.
So, yeah, I could see that. Plus, if you can take out the Yankees, the Red Sox, you're going to get attention from those teams as well. I mean, look at how many former Orioles the Yankees have signed because the Yankees, like Zach Britton, now Darren O'Day, the Yankees signed those guys because those guys were good against the Yankees. And those guys proved themselves against the Yankees.
Yeah, well, I mean, certainly if you see it all the time.
Cashner was great against the Red Sox. Red Sox traded for him.
Yeah.
So.
And interestingly, the Matt Harvey deal is Felix Hernandez, did not sign with the Orioles for the same reason Matt Harvey. He signed with the Orioles more for your previous
reason. Because he thinks he's better than all these kids and he can get in the rotation.
Well, and Matt Harvey, I don't know if you heard his quotes. Matt Harvey has something very specific that he wants.
What does he want?
He wants to get in the Hall of Fame. No, he wants to get in the Hall of Fame.
King Felix wants, Yes, Felix is trying to get his 3,000 strikeouts and whatever innings.
The wins.
The wins.
Josh.
The wins.
The wins. But
yeah.
So he clearly has a goal. He said he wants to get 200 wins and 3,000 strikeouts. And right now he's at 2,524 strikeouts.
All right.
So he's 476 strikeouts away.
But it's also he came here to rebuild because he knows he's not going to hit those numbers here.
Well, he's not going to him this year.
Right.
He's going to need to play for several more years because if you want to get wins,
right.
he's at 169, so he needs 31 more wins.
Yeah,
and I doubt he'll get 31 wins for the Orioles this year.
No, I feel like that's going to be 5 or 6 years of Felix here to do that.
Yeah. Well, if you look at his record, the past, not including last year, the year before that, 1 win, then 8 wins, then 6 wins. So even you add up the past 3 seasons, he's not getting there, even the past 4 seasons. So he's going to need to pitch till he's like 40, I think, to get those numbers, especially if he stays with the Orioles for any length of time.
Right.
But so his clear goal is to get wins. And I don't care. Whatever. If your motivation is to become a better pitcher, if your motivation is just for a chance to start your 5th day and win games and strike out people, I say more power to you. I hope he gets a couple wins. Go out and get 6 or 7 wins to add to that total, so you can make it a realistic goal in the next couple of years to get it. So more power to you. But it's just interesting, right? That the 2 veteran free agent pitchers we signed for completely different reasons. Felix Hernandez, I think just because he wanted to start every 5th day, and I don't know if any other team would let him start every 5th day or 6th day if they extend the rotation. And then Matt Harvey came for the analytics and become a better pitcher. So I just think it's interesting that just the different motivations on why they came.
Right, but again, that's fine. If it works out for either of them, it'll be a fun surprise.
Yeah. We're rooting for both of them. And in the meantime, what you talked about last week, I think, is turning to be true, where it's just great to have a couple of veterans who've been there before, who've seen ups and downs, who knows what it is to pitch in the majors, who have routines and know how to warm up and all that stuff. And so I think if worst case scenario, you just have a couple of good mentors in there for a while. That's the worst case.
Right. Sure. You see this Dustin Knight kid that the Orioles are showing off?
Oh, the backflip or something?
Yeah. I guess he was a closer in whatever league he was in, like Mexican league or something. And he would, do a backflip every time he got that last strikeout. I don't think that'll work in the majors.
I don't know. A backflip to me is more impressive than a bat flip.
And and it's way more impressive than Chris Archer shooting to his little fake arrow.
Yeah, Fernando Rodney. Yeah.
Oh yeah, Rodney. That's what it was, not Chris Archer. It would have made way more sense.
It would have made more sense as Chris Archer. Yeah, Chris Archer should have been doing that. No, Rodney.
Yeah, but a backflip. Could you imagine, like, if he was a good closer and every time, like, his little thing would be a backflip to end the game?
Yeah, I think that'd be awesome. But
it'd be awesome.
The second he gives up a walk-off home run, yikes.
Right.
That's not going to go over well with the other team. The other team's going to rub that in.
Yeah. Well, also, I have no hope that this guy's going to be our closer, and we're going to get to see that. I think the backflip, because came in as like a lefty specialist or something, you get one guy out. I don't think the backflip works.
Yeah. Yeah, I would assume anyone's doing a backflip after a strikeout just has not seen a lot of success in their career to be doing a backflip every time. Exactly. Or they would have gone way too many. Like if Chris Davis, when he got the win against Boston, if he wants to do a backflip, like that's appropriate.
No. But I would be all for Chris Davis every time he strikes out, breaking a bat over his knee.
Yeah. Yeah, he can afford it.
Exactly.
Josh, there's already been, there's only, as far as I could see, only 2 position players are on the Orioles, Trey Mancini and Chris Davis. I don't know if there's anyone else on the squad because all I ever read about is Trey Mancini and Chris Davis.
Yeah. Yeah, it's amazing. When will is our Oriole media obsessed with Chris Davis, or are Oriole fans obsessed with Chris Davis and the potential of him living up to that contract, which is impossible now?
I don't know, but here let's just take a look. This is Rich Dubroff, friend of the show, or enemy of the show. It's one of the two. I'm not quite sure. Enemy of the show or friend of the show.
Has he been on the show?
Rich Dubroff.
We've had Rich on. We've had Rich on.
I know.
He didn't really like our questioning.
And that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Maybe he's an enemy, maybe he's a friend.
Friend of me.
And here's the comments to it. Chris Davis, here's his tweet. Rich Dubroff said, Chris Davis took his physical and worked out with the Orioles today. Here are the responses. One person said, more terrible news today, # Orioles. Another person said, turns out he's still Chris Davis. Another person said, great, and then put a side face smile. Another person said, well, that sucks. Another person said, has he struck out yet? Another person said, I presume he didn't strike out during the physical. So
that's just bad shtick.
But that's. I read all the comments. I just didn't read some of the comments, Josh. Those were all the comments. Oh. There was not one single okay comment. All of them were jokes.
Yeah. Well, to be fair, if you don't laugh, you cry.
I mean, has there ever been a Baltimore athlete more ridiculed than Chris Davis?
Yes, sir.
Who?
A guy who was awesome. I kind of put this guy right up there with Chris Davis, as in when Chris Davis gets a hold of the ball, that ball goes far. This kid went on his knees, could throw the ball through the goalpost from the 50-yard line.
Yeah, I don't know if it's at this level, though, Josh.
I don't know.
Because
I think Kyle Bowler had the ridicule about the same level as Chris Davis. He just
I guess, but maybe not over this amount of time.
I mean, there's a lot of people who are angry about Chris Davis.
Yeah.
Because they see it as...
Because the contract.
They see it as that contract is why we're rebuilding.
Yeah.
That without that contract,
you can make a case.
We would still have Manny Machado. Or we would have Adam Jones. Or we would have... Now, the people are...
I agree.
Now, the people are stupid that say that we should have put that money in Nelson Cruz to bring him back the next year. And there's some people that still say that. No one foresaw Nelson Cruz continuing to play well after the Orioles.
Yeah.
So that's a lot of looking back.
Yeah, I mean, we can do this 2020, hindsight 2020. I mean, you could say you should reinvest that money into pitchers, but what does their success look like with Ubaldo Jimenez and Alex Cobb? Not very good success with signing free agent pitchers. But the one that sticks out that's sore still to me is you think about, Manny Machado, if there'd been more money for Manny Machado. But, hindsight is, it is what it is. I think it's very possible that even without Chris Davis, we're still in the same exact position, just with a little bit more money in Peter Angelo's pocket at this point in the year. But at any rate, it's going to be really interesting. The quote by Brandon Hyde was that the DH position with Chris Davis was fluid. I think the word was fluid. And so I think that's going to be interesting to watch. How many at bats Chris Davis has. I mean, it's tough for Chris Davis, right? Because now we're going to overanalyze every at bat.
Yep.
And that's not healthy for any hitter, because then he's going to stress about every at bat. But
I agree.
But he can't.
But he did it to himself.
400 at bats,
right?
Playing like that.
The problem is Trey Mancini. And
the problem is not Trey Mancini. The problem is Chris Davis.
The problem's Chris Davis. The reason that you're really questioning what to do with Chris Davis, and if you even give him playing time, is that it makes way more sense to have Trey Mancini at first base and some of these other guys out in the outfield.
Well, yeah, and that's why I think Chris Davis is going to be playing. I think you're not going to see Chris Davis at first a lot.
I think you're going to see him DH.
Yes, because Trey Mancini and Ryan Mountcastle, I'm curious to see. It sounds like it. I don't know. It's hard to say. From what I saw last year, Ryan Mountcastle seemed pretty good in the outfield. So I would like to see a Ryan Mountcastle stay in the outfield, Trey Mancini move to first base, and then Chris Davis at DH if you want to do that. If you want to have Chris Davis at bat. If not, you can have anyone else DH. I mean, that's the good news for Chris Davis is. It seems like there's not a ton of first baseman position players, young players that he's preventing. They're all up.
Right.
Now, you could argue you could do Ryan Mountcastle at DH and Trey Mancini at first, and that opens up another position in your outfield, which is true.
Well, what about the other corner? Is there any chance we see Mountcastle back at third base?
No.
No? Remember, he was. That's where we had him in the minors till we were ready to bring him up. You don't think that?
Well, even before we were ready to bring him up,
you don't think they moved him to the outfield
really
to try
hard.
to see, I wonder if they moved him to the outfield to try to fast track him to the majors because that bat was ready.
Oh my gosh, no. Are you telling me we have freaking Renato Nunez and Ruiz over there at third base? If they could put him at third base and bump Ruiz, they would be all over that. I don't think they want Ruiz to be a third baseman.
No.
I mean, I don't think they want Ruiz
on the field
on this team, really. He's not that good.
Yeah.
But they don't have anyone else to play third base, so he's there. Meanwhile, we have a bunch of corner outfielders. And so I think, I think it's the opposite. I think he just couldn't play third base. Like, crap, what do we do?
So
because I think they tried really hard to play him at third base, and it just wasn't happening.
In 2018, he played all 81 games with the Bowie Bay Sox at third base. Do you know what his fielding percentage was?
It doesn't matter, but go ahead.
.912.
Okay.
So, last year he was in the majors. Well, yeah, last year he was in the majors for half a season, and his fielding percentage in the outfield was 1. So
okay.
I guess you're right. His fielding percentage.
But it's not even just about errors, right? Because that shows errors. I think it's also about arm strength, and he didn't have the arm to make a lot of plays that he was wanting to have make at third base. And I mean, I think if you ask Mike Elias, give him truth serum about Ryan Mountcastle, he would say the mistake that was made with Ryan Mountcastle is keeping at third base for so long. Like at some point, it's not the position for you, so you got to move on and find a different position and rock and roll. And so the fact that he went so long at third base, even after it clearly was not going to be there in the majors. I mean, we've been talking about this for a while, that his glove was not good enough for the majors, or his arm was not good enough for third base in the majors.
Right, we wanted him as the DH.
Or first base, yeah. But then when you have, Trey Mancini, you can't put, everyone at first base. You can't put, and it turned out that he was pretty good in the outfield. So I think this year is going to be another tryout year. And then next year, if you want to do DH with Ryan Mountcastle, you can DH him. But this year, there's no reason. Like, let him play left field for 100 games and see how he does. So is Ryan Mountcastle, can he be an outfielder in 2022, or is he going to be our DH first baseman? Because, I mean, certainly being an outfielder is better for the team. It gives him more flexibility. It doesn't tie up that DH position, and he's young. You can go out and sign. Anyone can play DH. I mean, there's 20 guys who can go in there and be your DH. But to get an outfielder is harder. So, that's going to be that's going to be a storyline to watch. Ryan Mountcastle's defense, how you balance Trey Mancini in the outfield versus first base, and the backdrop of all that. And honestly, that's going to be a backstory, because the main story that everyone's going to talk about is Chris Davis's use, which really doesn't matter because he's not going to be here in 2 years.
And then is Adley ready? Can Adley come? Okay. Adley to the majors is the Orioles version of Are We There Yet?
Yeah. But I don't know. I think Orioles PR, and by PR I mean the reporters who cover the Orioles,
right,
have done a really good job of dampening down any expectations for Adley Rutschman. Like,
okay,
any mention of them in an article will say he's not being called up on opening day.
Right. Yeah.
So I don't.
Like, now he's not even at big league camp. He's over at the other camp.
Yeah, Twin Lakes,
yeah.
Yeah, and I think the position for the team might be the same as it was last year for Mike Elias. If we're competitive, come August, September, even July maybe,
right,
we'll call him up.
But remember, that got a little scary for Mike Elias last year, making that quote.
Yeah, the abbreviated season, almost backfired on Mike Elias.
Right.
And it will be interesting, right? We might be having a whole different conversation this year if Adley Rutschman played in games last year.
Right, sure. Can you explain this to me? Across all of baseball, there's this talk that all the reporters are talking and everything about being worried about pitchers pitching in 100 with a full season versus last year's 60 season.
Yeah.
Aren't these all professional baseball throwers that have spent their entire life throwing the ball, that work out during the off season so they can throw the ball? Why would a shortened season would you come into this season worried about their arm? It doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah. Because, I don't know, they stress a lot about building up innings, right? Where you have young pitchers go from 100 innings to like 120, 140, 160.
Right, but they take every offseason off, and then they build up their innings to get ready for opening day.
Yeah, and I would actually make the other argument where people are saying the arm injuries might have to do with them playing baseball competitively year-round since they're like 5.
Right.
And so I could make an argument that maybe a year off.
A year of soft toss.
Would be good for the arms.
Right.
Yeah. A year of less intense throwing.
Right.
Could be good for the longevities on these arms. And you might have some arms come back a little bit stronger.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't
You
know.
can make that argument.
Yeah.
I hope that's the true for Matt Harvey and King Felix.
Yeah, I hope so. They've had plenty of time off.
Yeah.
So let's hope so. Any more takeaways, or you want to roll into ball 4?
Yeah, let's do. I got the Matt Harvey, King Felix stuff on my chest. I got the, it's the Trey Mancini, Chris Davis show at this point in the offseason.
Right. Next
I'm excited next week to get some games started, and yeah.
Right. That's when we can start talking position battles and stuff.
Everyone's optimistic. So, if you just read the quotes and the headlines, Orioles going to the World Series this year, as far as I can tell.
Right. Yeah. So, all right, let's get this on ball 4.
Oh shoot. Okay, you go first.
Here's my first thing before we get into ball 4. I've been scouring the internet, and I can't find it. So I need some 336ers help. I want that stupid video game sound for ball 4 of the ump calling ball 4 that I hear in my head, that you hear in your head, and I can't find it on the internet.
Okay.
So I'm looking for that.
I was scouring the correct way to say 7th in APA format. Is it just the number 7, TH, or do you have to spell it out? So any 336ers have that information as well.
For 7th?
Yeah, APA, 7th in APA format. Do you spell out 7th, or do you put 7 TH?
Can't you
I think you spell it out, but I'm not 100% sure.
There's this thing called Google.
I looked at it. I couldn't find it. And I looked for like 5 whole minutes. But anyway, what's your ball 1?
Ball 1.
Yeah, go ahead.
You got something to say?
Well, I mean, have you heard the thing called the internet? Judge, have you heard the internet to find your ball 4 sound?
You spell out. Yeah, I can't find it. For AP style book, you will spell out numbers 1 through 9 and use numerals for 10 or greater.
Right. Is that the same though when you add the TH, like the 7th meeting, or does it change?
No, for 7th you would spell out 7th.
Right.
But the number 7 you would, yeah. It says that you spell out 7th. There's a website. It's called Spell Out or Use Numerals. Is the name of the website.
I gotta check the website out. All right, what's your ball 1?
Ball 1 is softball. I had my softball season start this week, so I got back out on the ball field this week, just like the Orioles, and got to hit and swing and run and jump, and pulled my groin. So I've been in a bunch of pain lately since then.
Oh, nice.
So,
that's the only thing we don't want out of spring training is injuries.
no,
So that's tough to see.
Exactly. So I'm hoping that the Orioles don't have any groin issues because, my ball 1 is my groin injury through softball.
Yeah, that's a shame. My ball 2 would be a show recommended me. I mean, the first person to mention it to me was our sister Laura, and the zany one himself, Bert Rohde, watched this show and recommended it to me. Though since then, everyone and their mother is recommending this show. I finally turned it on and watched it. That's Ted Lasso.
Yeah, Ted Lasso is great.
Yeah, I just discovered it.
Ted Lasso is probably the best show of 2020.
Yeah, and it is as good as everyone said. It's great.
Yeah, it's great.
We're only like 6 episodes in. We just watched that episode last night or 2 nights ago when he goes on that rant about practice, a la Allen Iverson.
Yeah.
And I was like cracking up, like on the verge of tears at the whole quote. And Emily was looking at me like, "What are you even laughing at?" I was like, this is Allen Iverson.
The show is great.
It's just funny
because it's got the sports mix in for sports fans, but it's just a great. It's got heart and all. It's just
the dialogue is so smart.
It's a really smart show. You're right, for a comedy and especially a sitcom. It's really smart dialogue.
Yeah, I agree.
So and
that's my ball too.
Coach Beard is great.
Yeah, he's a good character.
My ball 4 is Mortal Kombat. because I bought
Old school.
I bought the new Mortal Kombat game, and by new I think it's like 2 years old or a year and a half old.
I didn't think they made any of those in the past 20 years. So
Yeah, me either. But I've been, I told you guys how I went up to help Chad Dukes build his studio, and then after that he's been wanting to do some streaming. So I helped him out with building a gaming rig for setting up and streaming. And while I've been logging in and working on his layout and graphics and everything, he's been playing Mortal Kombat. So I've been watching it, and I was like, I never got to play Mortal Kombat as a kid. We played Street Fighter and Street Fighter 2, but never really played Mortal Kombat because of the violence. So I said, I'm going to download the new Mortal Kombat. So I did that, and I've been playing it the past 2 nights, and I've been really enjoying it. It's fun.
Who's your character of choice?
I only know how to use Sub-Zero so far.
Okay. I saw you frantically hitting the buttons. I knew you must have been playing some kind of type, because I know in Madden, there's no need to frantically hit A, B, A, B, A, B, A, B like that.
And I'll tell you, my hands are sore because I haven't played a fighting game or a button smasher game in a long time. Yeah. And it's been cool to play something different. Game. Yeah, definitely. I haven't tried playing other people. I've just been playing the computer because I know I probably really suck.
Yeah.
So, how about your ball 4?
Well, I'm going back to the television.
Oh, see, I purposely avoided the television.
Oh, well, I feel like I haven't talked about television the past few weeks. So I went food last week. So I thought it's okay to do back-to-back TV this week. This is, again, and this is actually, I'm taking this recommendation, again, from Burt Rohde, who would recommend this if he was on the show today. I don't recommend it, but I did watch it. On Disney Plus, they just came out with the original Muppets show.
Yeah.
Have you watched any of this, Josh?
Yeah, I haven't watched it since they re-put it on Disney Plus. I watched it a few years ago. I have them on a computer.
Episode 1 of the Muppets we watched last night with Silas. It was not appropriate for Silas.
Well, they start all of the episodes. Well, it's not a kid's show.
No, it was the most bizarre.
It's like a family show.
Yes, it was Pun Nation. It was just puns.
Yeah.
And it was just so stinking bizarre. I didn't even know what I was watching. I didn't even understand it.
You don't remember watching them as a kid?
I have no recollection of watching.
I watched it. I remember watching it
the movie. I watched the Muppet movie.
Yeah.
But never this variety show.
No, for Silas, you want him to watch Muppet Babies. Okay. Muppet Babies is really good, and that's for Silas.
I'll check that out. All right, fine.
But no, Muppet Show is great. They do have a warning now in front of every episode saying
I didn't see that.
Saying that there's filled with stereotypes and stuff like that.
I saw that when I watched
there's a lot of Disney shows that have that on Disney Plus.
Yeah, Peter Pan, and also one of those old shows, maybe That Darn Cat.
Probably.
It was one of those older shows.
Pinocchio.
And they did. It was really. You look back at some of these shows, like they had a just a stereotypical Asian dude.
But it's also
you guys
judging those. Yeah, we're now judging stuff made in the 60s and 70s with 2020
Well, we're not judging. We're just putting a little label on it.
Well, some judging. There's another show on Disney Plus where they did some like editing to cover stuff. I don't remember, but no, I haven't watched that yet. But I am a fan of the Muppet Show.
No, I watched episode 1. I will not watch another episode.
That's a good show.
That was terrible. It was absolutely. It was like watching a train wreck.
You were watching the old Muppet Show, right? Not the one that they tried to bring back a few years ago on ABC.
No, this is the old original.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, just bizarre. Go watch episode 1, Josh, and talk to me next week about it, and tell me if you. I mean, Bert said it was hilarious, cracking up. So
I said,
all right, let me check this out tonight. And
the old man. My favorite's the old men. Up top.
Yeah. The old men were fine.
Yeah.
It was just bizarre. Just go rewatch it. It's
all right. Bizarre. You want a little tease for my ball for next week? Have you ever heard of?
But okay, go ahead and tease your ball.
Have you ever heard of Buc-ee's? It's like
just because you talked about it before.
Did I talk about it on here before?
That's the gas station?
Yeah, it's a gas station. Yeah. I guess it's like a Wawa. So it opened up today, and I drove past it, and it was packed with cars and like a line of people to try to get in. So I didn't go. But I'm going to go sometime this week, and I'll report back for my ball next week. Mandy said, like, all the women at, like, the school pickup were all talking about it and how they want to – and they were saying, oh, no, I got to go when I don't have the kids because I need time to browse around. And I want to check out the home goods place, the home goods section.
All right.
So apparently
let me know how it goes.
Buc-ee's has a home goods section, whatever that means.
You're about to find out.
I'll find out. So that's going to be my ball next week,
All right.
assuming I
Look
get over there.
All right, boys and girls.
Can't close it yet.
Why not?
Because you forgot our new segment that's supposed to be at the top of the show. What is the state of the Orioles right now? Did we go up in a week or down in a week?
Well, I just shared with you all those headlines. So apparently we've gone up. If you read any of the headlines, our stock is going up. Though if you listen to Buster Olney, I guess our stock is go down. So it depends who you're talking
I am going with our stock is going up because players on baseball fields is always better than players not on baseball fields. So it's going up.
And everyone has said, all the coaches are saying the players look better than ever. Like reading a freaking Onion article.
Yeah, they didn't put on that COVID weight, COVID-19.
Yeah, but as far as transactions and stuff goes, there really was nothing this week. As far as
No, this was the everyone show up week.
There's still a bunch of free agents out there. Just saying.
Yep, there's still room in the rotation too. Just saying.
Yeah, they could. Their rotation. We talked about it last week, but that's going to be something to watch in these open spring training games because there's more starting pitchers than there are spots. So it's just something to watch for. We're already talking about 6-man rotation. I think they need to talk about an 8-man rotation to get them all in.
Yep,
all right, boys and girls. Who knows? That's the question. No one knows. Even Manager Hyde at this point does not know. You got to play the games.
Yep.
All right, boys and girls.
Don't forget.
For listening. Yeah, what?
Birdland Tonight. Go follow Birdland Sports everywhere. Don't forget.
Yeah, when's our next show?
I think it's going to be Wednesday night. I think it's going to be every Wednesday or Thursday until the season starts.
All right, cool.
Subscribe, you'll get notified.
Yeah, subscribe and you get notified. You can follow Birdland Sports on Twitter at Birdland Sports. You can follow me on Twitter at Section336. You can follow Josh on Twitter
at Josh Soroka.
Thanks for listening. I just was paused there because you keep on interrupting my closure. I thought you were going to interrupt me again to say, like, shout out to our Patreon supporters. You can support us on Patreon as well.
Good pickup. Yeah, you can hit the support tab on section336.com. Next week, I'll actually come prepared with the list of Patreons that we need to thank because I don't have the list in front of me right now. But yeah, go on over there and you'll get a shout out at the top of the show next week.
All right, thanks for listening, boys and girls. And as always, go Oats.